Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about software development lifecycle. What is SDLC or what is software development lifecycle? SDLC is nothing but an organized process for building software that will help to ensure the quality and correctness of the software which will be built out of it. The main goal of SDLC is to produce high quality software and all of course it should ensure to meet the customer expectations or requirements. The SDLC helps to ensure the system development complete in the predefined time frame and also with low cost. Okay, so time frame is important and SDLC will help to ensure that. SDLC consists of a detailed plan in terms of how to plan, build and maintain specific software. So uh, it will articulate the plan for building a software. Every phase of SDLC lifecycle has its own process and deliverables that feed into the next phase. Okay, so output of every process is important because that will be the entry criteria for the next process. Okay, SDLC stands for software development lifecycle, so we all know that. Sometimes it is also referred as application development lifecycle. But let's understand why do we need SDLC. So I have just pinpointed some of the points or prime reasons. This will help to understand why do we need SDLC. It offers a benchmark for project planning, scheduling, and estimating. Provides a framework for a standard set of activities and deliverables. Okay. It is a mechanism for tracking overall project progress and control. So this is important. Whatever we are building or doing, the tracking is important. Otherwise, we will lose the control, and it will be going in a infinite loop, and time frame is always require important because we need to complete whatever we are building within the time frame. That is also important. Increase visibility of project planning to all involved stakeholders of the development process. So all the stakeholders which are included in this development phase, those should be keep updated. So this SDLC process will help to know them that where are we and what are the current progress of overall software development. Okay, increase and enhance development speed. Improved client relations, so this will help because we need to improve the relations with the client to provide with providing them time to time updates about the SDLCs or software development progress. Helps you to decrease project risk and project management plan overhead. Okay, so if there any risk due to some blockages, due to some technical glitches, so this will help to minimize those. Without using an exact life cycle model, the development of a software product would not be in a systematic and disciplined manner, right? When a team is developing a software product, there must be a clear understanding among the team representative about when and what to do. Otherwise, it would point to chaos and project failure. Definitely, we have seen um, many of the examples that some projects gets failed due to low or very low control and the, we can say, tracking of the overall project and product. A software lifecycle model describes the entry and exit criteria for each phase. Exactly. Okay. So what are SDLC phases? There are 7 phases for SDLC, which will start from require collection and or require gathering and analysis. Then second will be feasibility study and defining the requirements. So the requirements will be studied and defined in a particular manner. Then third will be design and or design product architecture. So based on the requirements, the architecture for the product will be developed. Fourth will be important phase wherein actual coding will start. That means actual development of the product will start. Fifth is again an important phase actually in the life cycle of SDLC, which is testing, which will ensure the product quality. Okay, and sixth will be installation and deployment. So in the sixth phase, once the testing is good and certified, Then we will go for installation of the product in the servers. Okay, and 7 will be the maintenance. So when the product is live on the production, so maintenance is required, so that if any issue comes runtime, one should be there to handle these kind of issues. So the first phase of the requirement development life cycle is nothing but requirements gathering and the analysis of that requirement. Um, it is conducted by the senior team members with inputs from all the stakeholders and domain experts in the industry. From my personal opinion, that QA should also be involved in the requirement gathering, or not at least in requirement gathering, but once the requirements is finalized, it should be shared with the QA at the same time, so that they will also start reading through it and start understanding it. Normally in the industry, what is happening? QAs are getting involved once the development is done and the Jira or the ticket is ready for testing, then only QA is getting involved. So after that, QA needs to go through the requirements and then understand it. All I know that we sometimes we get involved early as well, wherein we start test cases writing, and that's important. We should get involved earlier so that everything is understood by the time the software is ready for testing. Planning for the quality assurance requirements and identifications of the risk involved is also done at this stage. Okay. This stage gives a clearer picture of the scope of the entire project and the anticipated issues, opportunities, and directives which triggered the project. Requirement gathering stage need teams to get detailed and precise requirement. So the requirement should be clear enough. Otherwise, it will lead to the problems ahead, because if the requirement is not clear and developer is assuming something, and with the based of assumption, if he or she is developing something which ultimately are not going to be approved by the approved in the user acceptance testing, because that was not intended to develop. Okay. Requirement gathering stage needs to be get details, right? This topic, this point is already done. So business analyst and project organizer set up a meeting with the client to gather all the data, like what the customer wants to build, who will be the end user, what is the objective of product. Before creating a product, a core understanding of knowledge of the product is very necessary, right? The core understanding is very necessary. We need to understand why customer wants to build this product. Once we get that flavor, then only it will be easy for us to understand the requirement properly and to build it properly. Once the requirement is understood, the SRS, software requirement specification document, is created. So we need to have this SRS document because it will be very handy in future whenever we want to revisit any requirement why we developed this thing. Okay, the developer should thoroughly follow this document and also should be reviewed by the customer for future reference. Right, the developer should also follow this thoroughly. They should not miss any point from the SRS document. The second phase will be the defining requirements and the feasibility study of the requirement. Okay. Once the requirement analysis phase is completed, the next step of SDLC is to define and document the software needs. So we need to document what software needs are going to be. This process conducted with the help of software requirement specification document. Okay. So this SRS document will be a entry criteria for this second phase. That SRS was the exit criteria for the first phase. Okay. It includes everything which should be designed and developed during the project lifecycle. There are mainly five types of feasibility checks done in the phase two. First is economy. So it is important because we need to understand whatever we are trying to build, whether it is economic or whether it is going to fit in the budget we have. Okay. Legal. So second thing is, can we handle this project as a cyber law? The cyber security is most important. So we need to understand whether cyber law and other regulatory frameworks or compliances will be satisfied with this development. Then operation feasibility. Can we create operations which is expected by the client? Okay, so can it is important that to understand whatever we are building, whether it is meeting to a customer expectation or not. Then technical, need to check whether the current computer system can support the system software. Okay, so the technical check is important because we observe that we build something and sometimes the system doesn't cope with the new upcoming upgrades of the system. Then this becomes of no use. Schedule, decide that the project can be completed within the given schedule or not. Okay, so we need to understand the time frame which we are targeting for completion, whether that will be met or not. Then the third phase will be the design or design product architecture. So once the about two steps are completed, we need to go for designing the architecture of the system. Okay, the design phase serves as an input for the next phase of the model. Okay, there are two kinds of design documents developed in this stage. Okay, so mostly there will be two kinds of design documents will be developed. One will be the high level design document and the second will be the low level design document. So in the high level design document, what we are going to have, we are going to have brief description and name of each module. Okay, so what are modules going to be there in the system, then an outline about the functionality of every module, so what every module is going to do um, uh, in this product, then interface relationship and dependencies between the modules, so how those modules are going to interact in between them, so what are the dependencies in between them, two in between two modules, that we need to understand in high level design document. Database tables identified along with their key elements, so what are database tables we will need to store the data, then complete architecture diagrams along with technology details. So we need to understand what technology we are going to use here, so that should also be documented that we are going to use this technology. Then there should be a complete product architecture, or we can say computer architecture diagram should be there. Let's understand what will be the part of low level design document. So it will consist of functional logic of the model. So functional logic of the model will be documented in the low level design document. Database table which include type and size. So what type of tables we are going to write, what sizes will be, what sizes of the table will be. That means how big the data the table is going to store. Complete detail of the interface, then addresses of all types of dependency issues, so how we are going to address some dependency issues, that should be also be recorded in low level design document. Listing of error messages, so sometimes we need to show some error messages to users, so we need to list out all the error messages which we are going to add in the software. Then complete input and output for every module, so what is going to be input for this module and what output we should expect from that module, that is also we need to understand and record. This is the fourth phase will be the coding. So this is important. In this phase, developers will actually start building the entire system by writing code using the chosen programming language. So the programming language is important. What we are choosing after doing feasibility study, we will come up with the programming language, and there will be reasons why we are going ahead with this programming language, or why we have chosen this programming language. So that all be already done. Now it's part to start actual coding in the coding phase. Okay, in the coding phase, tasks are divided into units or modules and assigned to the various developers. Okay, so the coding phase will start in a incremental way, because the module will be break in between different tasks, and the task will be given to the different developers, so that they can build the those mod those so that they can complete the task and integrate with each others to form a one of the module. Okay, it is the longest phase of the software development lifecycle process. We all know that. In this phase, developer needs to follow certain predefined coding guidelines. Okay, coding guidelines is also important. So nowadays there are many tools developer use, like sonar cubes, to check whether the code they are writing is following certain coding standards or not. Because if you are not writing the code in a particular way or in a standard manner, then in future it will be very difficult to maintain the code, or maintenance will be very difficult, or if you want to enhance the code, then also it will be very difficult. So that's why coding standard is very important. So developer needs to follow certain predefined coding guidelines. They also need to use the programming tools like compiler, interpreters, debugger, to generate and implement the code. Okay, so nowadays there are very smart tools like IntelliJ, Eclipse they use to code, which will help them to write code very easily. Okay, in the final phase, testing. So once the development is complete and it is deployed in the testing environment, the testing team starts the testing functionality of the entire system. This is done to verify the entire application works according to the customer requirement. So testing is important because we need to ensure that whatever we are developing, that should meet to the expectation of the customer. Finally, the expectation of the customer is important, so we need to very keen about ensuring that that should be met. Okay, during this page QA may find some bugs, defects which they communicate to developers. Okay, then development team fixes the bug and asks QA for a retest. This process continues until the software is bug free, stable and working according to the business needs of that system. During this phase, unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testings are done. So there will be various kind of testing will be done during the testing phase. uh, Even if there are some open bugs, but it has been discussed to analyze that those are very low level, like cosmetic issues are there, or some issues are there, then those will be approved with the stakeholders. And sometimes stakeholders approve that okay, we are okay to go ahead with these bugs, and we will target to fix those low level bugs in a future releases. Okay, then after the testing is done and the product is certified, the next phase comes is a installation and deployment. So in this phase, once the software phase testing phase is over and no bugs or errors left in the system, then the final deployment process starts. Okay, based on the feedback given by the project manager, or the final software is released and checked for deployment issues if any. Normally, what happens, the product may first be released in a limited segment and tested in the real business environment. That is UAT, user acceptance testing. So before targeting the wider audience, sometimes what companies do, they deploy this new product in a limited segment users, so that they will start exploring the system, and once they find it good enough, then only it will be released to bigger audience. And in the last phase, that is maintenance phase, once the system is developed and customers start using the developed system, following three activities which will continue all the time, like bug fixing. So whatever bugs which are reported on the production, those need to be fixed. Bugs are reported because of scenarios which are not tested at all. So there will although we do worst kind of testing, there will be edge cases which will definitely be there and which will occur in a production. So we need to fix those time to time manner. Upgrading the application to the newer version of the software. So sometimes there are new requirements or regulatory requirements or some compliance requirements, so we need to upgrade the system to meet those requirements, or to meet to make new enhancements, so the upgrade will continue. And enhancement will be also there, adding some new features into the existing systems. Upgrade will happen with technology upgrade as well, right? So if you want to um, upgrade your Java version from 1.7 to 1.8 or 1.9, then that will be upgrade. Then also we need to release the software with the new latest version of the technology. The main focus of this SDLC phase is to ensure that needs continue to be met and that system continues to perform as per specification mentioned in the phase. So that's it for today. Thank you guys. See you around.